Ladies, gentlemen, and Haradrim of all ages, how do you feel about Mythic Uniques? How about getting 5 of them at the same time and a free spark as a bonus too? Well, how about Ancestral Legendaries and Uniques? Maybe you like getting loads of those as well. How about those strange Purified boss materials that some people have, but no one knows what it's actually for? In fact, a lot of people, until about halfway through yesterday, thought that these were literally a bugged item that sometimes happened while doing the season questline. Turns out, not only is it not a bug, it's actually a really neat hidden secret part of this season. That said, today we're going to talk about how to get Mythic Uniques in Season 11 and anything that has changed with that, as well as a great way to get loads of Ancestral Legendaries and Uniques as part of that gameplay loop that helps you get Mythic Uniques, and we'll also dive into the Purified secret of the season, as it surprisingly does actually relate back directly to both Mythic Uniques and ancestral items as well. That said, let's get right into the meat of it and start by talking about Mythic Unique items. These can drop from anything in the game, capable of dropping even a regular unique, but of course at a very low drop rate in comparison. Josh got a Mythic Unique earlier today from the azmodan invasion, just literally from the corrupted Andariel chest you can open. He had a natural Ring of Starless Skies drop, which is quite special, but just to show that that can happen here, and also to add that I have heard a couple of other people say they found a Mythic Unique from specifically this Andariel chest in the azmodan invasion for whatever reason. So obviously a big grain of salt on this one, but it seems it's possible that the azmodan chests do have a somewhat increased rate for these, but that is full speculation at this point in time. There is a much higher drop rate then from the lair boss caches in torment difficulties. These are a confirmed increased drop rate source for Mythic Uniques, having a low chance to replace any unique that drops when opening these caches. In the past, I've had people throw around drop rates like 1% chance per unique drop that happens from a lair boss or something along those lines, but that just seems heavily inaccurate to me because, at least in Season 11, I have done a good 100 or so boss kills and have not had one drop naturally from these myself. That said, we do also know that higher tier bosses on the lair boss ladder have higher chances of dropping Mythic Uniques, so that is something to note too. Lair bosses are the sort of default way to farm raw Mythic Uniques if that is what you want to do. Outside of that, there are some rare drops that give you either guaranteed or near guaranteed Mythic item drop chances, and there's the full Mythic Unique Undercity Tribute, which is quite rare. Doing this is again either full guaranteed or nearly guaranteed chances of a Mythic Unique dropping at the end of the activity. Running one of these was where I got my first Mythic Unique in Season 11. Then the sort of big new source of Mythic Uniques this season is the Mythic Prankster Nightmare Dungeon affix. If you see a Nightmare Dungeon that has this, you want to do it. Invite other players while you're at it, bring them with you because this is all shared rewards and there's no reason to do it alone if it means you can give Mythic Uniques to other players, whether they be your friends that you bring along or just like some random guy who walked past you in Kyovashad and you wanted to get some nice karma by inviting him for some good loot. Because what these dungeons actually do is they have a forced spawn of the Mythic Treasure Goblin, who when killed will drop 5 Mythic Uniques and a Mythic bag that has legendary runes and a free Resplendant spark inside of it too, and he does this for each player. So one of these sigils can create up to 20 Mythic Uniques total if we count the rewards for every player lumped together. The sigils seem extremely rare for this, so you can't just like force this to drop, but this is mostly to say, first, check every Nightmare Sigil that happens in your world for you. Do not leave a Nightmare Sigil on the ground without checking what the affix is, because it would be a massive mistake if one drops and you didn't know. Second, it brings more value to any activity that can give you lots of Nightmare Dungeon Sigils, and even more so if that same activity can also get you lair boss keys for the other main method of farming mythics. And so now, let's talk about the really neat gameplay loop going on in Season 11 that is generally the best way to seek out Mythic Uniques, while at the same time being an incredibly good source of ancestral items as a whole. This is mostly based around the azmodan invasion. The Andariel chest in the invasion specifically always drops tributes for Undercity. It can drop any of the tributes, which means it can drop the Mythic tribute if you get really lucky, or it can also drop the Tribute of Titans, which is the tribute that drops lair boss summon keys at the end of the run. You run Azmodan's Andariel chest to get tribute, you can get the Tribute of Titans from that, you then run over to do Andariel at the Undercity with the Tribute of Titans, who will give you Corrupted Claws, which then lets you open more Andariel azmodan chests, but also you get lair boss keys. The lair boss versions of the lesser evils do also drop their corrupted parts, so you can then run even more azmodan afterwards. Lair bosses are the ideal way to farm for ancestral versions of important base uniques, and azmodan chests are an incredible way to farm ancestral legendaries. So this precise loop is incredible for ancestral items of all sorts as well. On top of that, outside of the Andariel chest specifically dropping tributes every time, any one of the 3 Azmodan invasion chests that you can open seems to have a random chance of dropping just an inordinate amount of nightmare dungeon sigils. Like, I have had my entire inventory of key space filled from one chest opening, and of course being showered in sigils is about the best chance that you would have of finding the mythic prankster affix specifically, and you can also just get piles of obols that drop at random from these chests too. Both the dungeon sigils and the obols seem to be totally random though, not tied to like a specific chest or condition or anything like that. They just have a chance of happening when you open any of the Azmodan event chests here. That brings us to the big secret that has finally been solved. What do you do with the purified horns of Duriel, the purified claws of Andariel, the purified eyes of Belial, and purified tongues of Azmodan? Well, first let's talk about where you get them. They have a very, very low chance of dropping from the lesser evil invasions that match that item. Purified Duriel from Duriel, so on and so forth. I actually got my purified Duriel horn at level 41 doing his invasion pre-torment, surprisingly enough. It is possible that you could get these from the lair boss versions of Duriel, Andariel, and Belial, as their chests do drop the corrupted versions, but I have not heard anyone directly confirm having a purified item drop from the lair boss, only confirmed from the invasion specifically. Same goes for Azmodan, his just comes from any one of the chests being opened during his world boss invasion when you do his event, regardless of which one of the chests you open. Again, these seem like super low drop chances. I've run a countless number of pits and not had a purified eye of Belial. I've done a fair amount of Azmodan and not had his tongue, and I've done a fair bit of Undercity, but not as much as the other activities really, so that one's not so unusual. That said, now let's talk about what you actually do with these purified items. In order to have it work, you need to have all 4 of them, meaning one of each purified item. Then you need to take them and hand them in at different locations around the world map. Up here in the northeast of the Fractured Peak, this is the location of the Altar of Lies. This is where you submit the purified eye of Belial. Northeast of Zarbinzet, north of Azmodan's invasion point itself, right in this spot right here is the Altar of Sin. This is where you deposit the purified tongue of Azmodan. On the western side of Nahantu, all the way over here, this is the Altar of Anguish. This is where you stick in the corrupted claw of Andariel. Then the final one is here right around the middle of Kyrgyzstan out in the open, and this is the Altar of Pain, which is where you hand in your purified horn of Duriel. Once you have submitted one of these items, it will save in your game state, by which I mean if you do one of these and then log out, then log back in, it will still be done. It will carry your progress over. So you don't have to do them all at once, nothing like that. But once you have submitted one item to each of the 4 altars, a very unique special event will happen. And it's honestly cool enough that if you want to just wait to experience it for yourself, skip to the time on screen. I'll give you a couple of seconds to make that decision, but a big portal will open with a bunch of question marks on top of it. What happens when you go in? Well, credit to Bottom Tier for being one of the few people who has actually managed to do this themselves so far in the first one that I've seen, and because of that, we get to see what is inside. Here is a crazy scene where you're talked at by all of the lesser evils in a red ghostly form, then a fight begins where you fight all of them. You start by fighting Andariel and Belial at the same time with all the normal boss mechanics, and from what I've heard, these are like enhanced versions compared to the normal lair bosses too, where they have some sort of increased scaling. Then once you have defeated Belial and Andariel, you have to fight Duriel and Azmodan at the same time. After you win that fight, you get a massive pile of purely ancestral equipment dropping. You get corrupted parts to open the chest during the Azmodan invasion, then you also get a free Resplendant Spark. These purified materials are rare enough that it's hard to know for sure, but word on the demon-filled streets is that you cannot do this twice, you can only do it once per character. Once you have done this event once, you're done for the season. And that is a bit of a shame, but it means that this is just a really cool sort of bonus secret that they made for Season 11. And it's something that very well may not stay moving forwards because it's so deeply tied to the seasonal mechanics, which is a shame because hidden bonus stuff like this is just really cool. That said, one of the things that it drops is a Resplendant Spark, which brings me to the final topic for today, which is crafting Mythic Uniques. You can get 1 spark from the thing we just talked about, you can get 1 spark from the Season Rank 6 capstone at the end of it, and you can get 1 spark from completing the Season Rank 7 capstone as well, which is just doing the Rank 75 pit. There is also 1 Resplendant Spark that you can get guaranteed from finishing the Reputation track. There is also the Echo of Lilith fight that you can do over here in the Fractured Peaks, which gives a Resplendant Spark on your first time completing it for the season, but then also the first time that you defeat Echo of Lilith on Torment 4 difficulty, there is a Season Rank reward for another Resplendant Spark. So in total, there are 2 related to Lilith, 1 from Reputation, 2 from pure Season Rank up rewards, and then there's also the one related to that secret activity, which makes 6 Resplendant Sparks that you can get as guaranteed drops in Season 11, which is higher than it's ever been before by a pretty fair margin. You can also get Resplendant Sparks from salvaging a Mythic Unique, so if you have one that you know you aren't going to use, don't feel guilty about salvaging it into a spark. What can you do with the sparks then? You can craft Mythic Uniques. At the blacksmith, you can trade 50 million gold and 2 2 Resplendent Sparks to get 1 completely random Mythic Unique without knowing what it's actually going to be. If you're feeling lucky, this can be a really cool way to get exactly what you are after. Or the alternative for something that gives you a lot more control is at the Jeweler. You can turn in 2 Resplendent Sparks and a specific collection of runes to make a Mythic Unique of your choice as a guarantee. The runes aren't easy to collect, but this is the only way in the game to get your own choice of a Mythic Unique, so it is quite important. That just about does it for today, everyone. Everything you need to know about getting Mythic Uniques in Season 11, and as a byproduct of the gameplay loop, a really good farm for Ancestral Legendaries and Ancestral Uniques along the way as well. I hope you've all enjoyed this video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.